My name is Emma Wilson. I'm a professor of biomedical sciences in the School of Medicine, and I'm also the Associate Dean of the Graduate Division at UCR. The Women in Science events at the School of Medicine are especially important. They build community. When I was a very young assistant professor, I joined a Women in Science all UCR event, and I found mentorship. I was able to give mentorship, and these events allow stories to be heard and community to be built. I have lots of great colleagues that have given me advice over the years, and at these events we can get together and I can give back to similar people that were in that situation, including students and staff and faculty. A time that I have challenged the status quo in the field. I think when you're a woman in science, but especially when you're a woman in science where you may be in the minority, right? So that's not the case in biomedical sciences. The School of Medicine, we're very proud that often we've had a really good balance of men and women, and it's been a very productive time because of that. But there have been plenty of times when that's not been the case. And I think, for example, simple things that like speaking up in a lab meeting, right? And I've got everybody, including my boss and my fellow colleagues, are all male. And finding the voice to say something that may be contradicting, or even just simply to ask a question in that environment is extra difficult. But I have done that, and sometimes they look around and, oh, who's that? Or speak up, or so I've done that over, as a student, as a postdoc, and then as a faculty member. And each time it gets easier. and each time I think it's been successful for me personally to see that people have responded well. But also now in my position, I can see other students or postdocs struggling with that same, ability to speak up. And I hope, leading by example, I can encourage them to do that. Yes, I think I have felt underestimated because of my gender. And that, again, has happened throughout my career. I think it happens less now when, we have this community. We're not in a minority. The difference between male and female is less so, at least in my division, my department. And how did I respond? I think at first it's a bit daunting, and I can feel uncomfortable. But then you sort of get used to it, and you just have to speak louder. You have to know that you're correct and stick to your guns a little bit. Whilst, doing all the female traits that are important in my job, which is also listening, right? So, yeah, I think I felt underestimated, and it's not an uncommon thing for people in our area, in academia in general, actually. I think from quite an early stage as a student, as a postdoc, as faculty we're receiving criticism all the time, right? We send our papers out for review, or we send our grants, and we get critiqued continuously. So we get a bit more used to that. But in a meeting setting, or I remember one of my first students was she was a female student, but she had, I think, a problem with having a female boss, and I think she sort of underestimated me in that respect, and it was a difficult negotiated path to make, but I think we all came out to the end better for it. What the truth about women in science and medicine that more people need to hear? I think they're needed. I think we need different viewpoints, and there's a lot that's similar, but there is a lot that's different between us and between men and women. And I think women can offer mentorship, but can also offer a diversity of thoughts and priorities sometimes. I've been working on a parasite that lives in your brain, and I've been doing that for about 20 years. And I've realized that there's a huge gap in our knowledge because this parasite causes congenital infection and can kill the unborn and can kill and can cause severe birth defects. And I think I thought a lot more about that after I became a mother and thought about the effects of this form of the disease a lot more. And I think, in the same way we don't understand what causes morning sickness, and there's a lot of research that really has been ignored, has not been seen as a priority because it's been male dominated. And I think we need to bring more women in science, more women into medicine, so that we make sure that all biology is looked at and bring progress to all fields. Yeah. What advice would I bring to my younger self just starting out? Stick to it. It's going to be really hard. I had really bad experiences that could have changed my mind, could have made me go back to serving popcorn in the cinema or a 9-to-5 job. But instead, I've persevered. So stick with it. Do something that you really enjoy and keep doing that. Keep talking to lots of people. And if you've got someone that's not supportive there, you're going to find lots of supportive people elsewhere. And so look for mentors in areas that you may not expect them to be. And I think I've been very fortunate to have some really good supportive people in my career. And, advice to my younger self, keep enjoying it. What do I hope will be different for the next generation of women in science and medicine? That this will be normal, that this will, we may not have to have these discussions so frequently because it's normal we receive parity, and that the younger generation are treated with respect and with as high expectations as their male counterparts. And I think we're getting there, and it's exciting time. I want to add that our male colleagues are as supportive as our female colleagues here. They are, to help women in science. We also need to help them take paternity leave, that those expectations of them in a role as a carer, or there needs to be equality, right? So that it helps women in science. So I found my male colleagues equally as supportive as my female colleagues. It's really good to have my female colleagues with me and know exactly what I'm going through, but this is not just about women. This is also about the men in our community that also need to embrace their female sides, their caring sides, their time with their children or their loved ones that need caring, and we act as great colleagues, as partners.